Hey sis, come sit with me for a minute. This is where we talk about healing, identity, and patterns. And we remind ourselves that becoming takes grace. Sis, can we talk? Welcome to Sis, Can We Talk? This is a space for reflection, healing, pattern recognition, and honest conversations that help us see ourselves and our experiences more clearly. Sometimes healing isn't about learning something new. Sometimes it's about finding the words for something you've always felt but couldn't explain it. And today, sis, I want to talk to you about what happens when people rewrite history. Have you ever walked away from a person only to later hear a version of the story that sounded nothing like what you lived? I have, and I'm certain you have too. And not just once. I remember leaving certain relationships and situations in different seasons of my life only to discover the story behind that was being told after barely resembled my experience, especially in dating. Now, I understand that two people can explain the same situation differently. That part is human. Perspective matters, but there's a difference between having a different perspective and telling a story that removes someone else's reality altogether. What surprised me was hearing stories where every detail that would have validated my experience had been erased. The hurt was removed, the betrayal was removed, the emotional manipulation was removed, the grace I extended was removed, the understanding I tried to even offer was removed. And somehow I became the problem in a story I survived. Let that sit for a minute. Because I know I'm not the only person who has experienced that. Now let's name it. That is what rewriting history does. It doesn't simply offer another perspective. It removes your humanity from the narrative so someone else can avoid accountability. People rewrite stories to make themselves feel innocent, to make themselves look wiser, stronger, more reasonable, more in control. And often, the very thing that they accuse you of is the thing they refuse to confront within themselves. They call you difficult because you stopped accepting disrespect. They call you bitter because you remembered what they wanted you to forget. They call you dramatic because you finally named what was happening. They even call you naive because they benefited from you not seeing clearly. Then the roles have the nerve to get reversed. The person who caused harm became the victim. The person who walked away somehow became the villain. The person who endured becomes the problem. And the person who finally saw the truth became the one who changed. And sis, that's emotional manipulation. Because they are not only manipulating the story, they're manipulating the people listening to it. They are presenting a version designed to gain sympathy, avoid responsibility, and protect their image. Because the truth will require accountability. And here's what I had to learn. Everyone listening to a story only receives the version they were given. They weren't there. They didn't live it. They didn't feel it. They don't know what happened behind closed doors. So I stopped trying to manage every narrative. I stopped trying to correct every misunderstanding. I stopped trying to defend myself to people who only had pieces of the story. Because eventually I realized something powerful. I don't have to chase every lie. I don't have to correct every version. I don't have to argue my reality into existence because I lived it. I know what happened. I know what I felt. I know what I built. I know what broke me. I know what grew me. And I also know what God revealed to me through it. And no matter how someone tell or retells the story, they cannot relive my experience for me. So the question is, have you ever noticed that some people don't just tell different stories? They tell stories that remove your experience altogether. And I guess the reflection is, where have I allowed someone else's version of me to become louder than my own knowing? So, sis, let this be a reminder. You don't have to argue your reality into existence. You lived it. You know what grew you. You know what built you. You know who you became. People can reinterpret your story, but they cannot relive it for you. Sis, thank you for sitting with me today. And if this conversation resonated with you, I'd love for you to subscribe, share it with another sis who may need it, and join me in the next conversation. Until next time, sis, take care of yourself. I am Cleo, the pattern recognizer.